Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara Taylor Designs, and today I have these two really fun, kind of wintry themed cards to share with you. So let's jump right in. So as always, I do like to cut my cardstock down first, so that's what I'm going to do. I have my black mat. As you guys know, I do prefer to add a mat to my cards. So I have an A2 base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I'm cutting my black mat to be about an 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 base. And then for the colored cardstock, I have two colors. These are both from Simon Says Stamp. This kind of greeny color is called Peacock, and then the purple is Royal Purple. And I cut those down to be about 1/4 of an inch smaller than my A2 base. I don't often use colored cardstock, but sometimes it's just kind of fun, and it's an easier way to build up a background excuse me, than to, blend, because you could absolutely blend a background that would be a stunning color. I just chose to use some colored cardstock to kind of just give it a different look. And I am going to clear heat emboss this beautiful stamp from Simon Says Stamp. This is the Simon Says Stamp Center Cut Snowflake, and it is a red rubber stamp, and I am using it in my Misty. What you can't see is I do actually have one of the, I believe Waffle Flower makes it, and it's one of their sticky mats in my Misty. I was trying this out because I really wanted to see what I thought. And technically you're supposed to remove it for a red rubber stamp, but I didn't because I wanted to see what it would do. So I did kind of have to stamp a few areas a couple of times. But I really like this mat. It's really nice to work with because it just holds your cardstock. Like you saw it easily. I just kind of pressed my cardstock into where I wanted to stamp. I counted it up 3 squares and over 3 squares, so I knew where to put both colors, and I knew where my stamp would fall, and then I just stamped it. And I did kind of off-center this intentionally. I wanted the sentiment to be just a little bit to the left. I just kind of thought that looked really nice rather than centered, but of course you could absolutely center the stamp if that's something you prefer. I just kind of like to not have it centered. I think that gives it just a little bit more visual interest. So that's kind of what I was going for, but there's no right or wrong way to do. So you do what works for you. And then I covered it in, so I used Versamark. Saw me use my anti-static powder tool first. And then I used some Versamark ink, Versamark. And then I brought in the Brutus Monroe Icicle, which is a clear embossing powder. So this is where you can see it really changes color. I find watching the clear and the metallics some of the funnest stuff to do with embossing, because I just love watching it change. And the clear embossing gives you a different color of the same, so it would be a deeper color of your cardstock. So you're not really adding color necessarily, you're just deepening the color of the cardstock you're already using. And this is just really fun to do on colored cardstock because I find it gives you really good interest, and really it's simple because you could stamp anything and do this with that clear heat embossing. So I had a lot of fun with that. And then I am going to darken the edges. I wanted a really dramatic look for this. I like vibrant, dramatic colors. I think that they're a lot of fun, and I tend to gravitate towards them. So for the embossing the blending on this green one, I used, these are Distress Ink mini cubes because I don't own the Distress Inks in full-sized pads. You absolutely can. They come in both, but I found for storage purposes it was easier for me to store the minis, so that's what I do. I just have the tins and I keep them in a drawer. But for the colors, I used Lucky Clover and then Pine Needles, and I'm going to finish it off with just a touch of black soot around the edge so that it kind of blends nicely into that black mat that I'm going to add. And you're going to see that here in a second when I kind of line them up. It just kind of gives it a more dramatic look, which I love. So that works really well for me. And then on my purple cards panel, I'm going to use Dusty Concord and then Villainous Potion and another touch of black soot. Just because, again, I like that kind of bold blend into that black mat, because then that gives that solid black look all around the edges. So it's kind of what I was aiming for, and I think that it turned out really pretty. So of course I always have everything linked and listed down below in case you're ever interested in what I'm using. I am having some trouble with my linking for whatever reason, and I don't know why this is. If you guys have the answer, if you have a YouTube channel and let me know what the heck this is. But recently, for no reason, when I link to things, it's trying to add the store name as a part of the link, so the link doesn't work. So it'll be whatever the link is, and then if I had, say, like a Simon Says Stamp at the end, it's adding Simon Says Stamp into the link. So when you click on the link doesn't work. So I'm trying to figure out how to fix that. But for the moment, that means that my links don't have a shop name at the end, because every time I try to do that, it tries to turn it into a part of the link, and that doesn't work. So the only way I've found to kind of combat that is to pull my links in, delete all the shop names, save it, then re-add all of the shop names. And sadly, that's incredibly time consuming. And I don't have the extra time for that at the moment. So right now, if there's no shop names at the end of the links, I'm so sorry. That is because I don't know how to combat this in a timely fashion. So if you have any idea, please let me know, because I am at a loss. And I don't know what's changed, because it never used to do this. So I have videos I actually have to go backwards and fix because it's been doing this, and I didn't know it was happening. So if you click on a video and the link doesn't work, that's why. It's just because it's trying to add the shop name into the link. So I'm working on that. I'm hopefully going to find a good fix. I looked at Linkdeli as an alternative, which is an app you can use that helps you link things, but it's $30 USD a month, which, so for Canadian, that's like $40 bucks, $45 a month. So I don't think I can afford to pay that. So I'm looking at alternatives, and we'll see what I can come up with. If you guys have any ideas, let me know, because that would be phenomenal. But the links are they're there. They're just, the store names aren't. So sorry about that, and I promise I am working on it. So you saw me bring in my perfect pearls that I always have mixed up. I just flicked it onto the backgrounds because I love a little shimmer and shine. And then I white heat embossed the sentiments on top of that exact same cardstock color. And I brought in one of the nested circle dies from one of the sets I have, just found the circle that fit the best around the sentiment, and then I'm just running it through my little Sidekick to cut it out so that I have the sentiment that comes with it. This comes with this stamp set. I just chose to pop it out and do it on its own because I thought it would look really nice. But you could, of course, stamp it all together if that's what you wanted. I wanted to be able to pop up the sentiment, so I chose to kind of die cut it out later. I don't think there's a matching die cut for this set because really it's just the circles. So any nested circle set should have a circle that's fairly close to that circle size. And that's just what I did. And then I ran it through my little Sizzix Sidekick here. And then I ran through, these are the Simon Harmony snowflakes. It's a set of 3 smaller snowflakes that come together. And I did cut all 3 out of some glitter cardstock. You see me, I have to run it through more than once just to make sure that it cuts nicely through the glitter cardstock. And I did cut all 3, although I'm only going to put the smaller 2 on the front because I feel like the big one kind of stole the show too much. And I didn't want that. So I end up actually adhering the big one on the inside of the card base. So it's just kind of part of the card design, but not stealing the show of the whole front panel design. And I am going to use my pokey tool just to poke the glitter cardstock out the back side. I find this, if you're struggling to get your glitter cardstock to cut nicely, I find this is the best way to kind of get it to release. This is a fairly delicate die, and I wanted to use my Sizzix Sidekick because it was already sitting on my table. But realistically, if I had used my chrome shim through my Switch Plus, that would have cut this better because it cuts through die. It die cuts glitter cardstock beautifully. So I think that had I, just used that instead, that would have worked better. But the Sidekick was sitting on my desk, so I just had to struggle a little bit more with it, but that's okay. And then I just popped out all the little intricate pieces that are kind of in the center of these snowflakes. They're stunning. So I really wanted to use the snowflake. It's just that I didn't like how it looked on the front. Because it kind of steals the show of what's going on in the background of this card. It's hard to see here with them off to kind of the side, but as you guys saw when I embossed it, that clear embossing gives it this really fun, pretty shimmer. Like it's just kind of a shine. I'm not sure. It almost looks wet, which is weird, but I don't know if you emboss things, what kind of look you have. But to me, it always just kind of gives it just this really beautiful texture and shine. So I didn't want to cover up a whole bunch of the background snowflakes because I thought that they were really quite pretty. So I opted to just put that larger snowflake inside the card base instead. And then for a little bit of dimension, I did add some Big Mama foam tape, just a couple of pieces to the center circle. The Big Mama foam tape is really thin, so it's a great thing if you want a little bit of dimension because it's so thin that it gives you a little dimension, but it's not overwhelming. Like you can still mail this and have it no problem, because, you know, it's quite thin, but it is definitely my go-to. I actually bought a second roll, even though you can see this is my first roll, just because I ordered something else, so I grabbed it too. But I love it so much that that's kind of what I do. I have the 3M as well. The 3M is just thicker, so I don't reach to it quite as much because I do like to mail out my cards. But yeah, and then I'm just going to adhere the popped up little circle in the center of the area of where it has been embossed. And then we're going to move on to kind of adhering all the stuff together. So how was everybody's New Year's? I would love to know. My New Year's, I worked. And then Chris made a beautiful dinner. Chris is my husband. I don't know if I've ever told you guys his name, but my husband made a beautiful dinner because it was our a dating anniversary, not our wedding anniversary, but it was our dating anniversary on January 1st. So he made this wonderful dinner of beef Wellingtons, and then some, you know, sides, and it was super, like, he's a phenomenal chef. So it was very, very good. So I had a beautiful, and then we counted in the new year, and then I went to bed right away because I had to go back to work the next morning. But we had a pretty great New Year's Eve. How about you guys? What did you do? Did you do anything? Do you celebrate New Year's Eve? I'm always curious. I don't know if I asked this in my last video. I may have done. Sometimes I forget what I've asked. But I always like to hear what everybody got up to. It's always interesting to know what you guys are doing. Did you craft anything? Did you make anything? Do you have any exciting plans for this year? Do you have any goals for 2024? Anything like that? Tell me. I'd love to hear, if you are comfortable sharing with me, of course. But I'd love to hear what you guys are up to, what you're doing, what you're thinking, you know, all that jazz. I think we're going to plan a trip, so that's always exciting. Just kind of depends on how the year pans, but yeah, let me know what you're up to, because I like to know what you guys are doing. Do you have any crafty plans? Is there anything you specifically want to make this year? I had this kind of crazy thought. So in my last video, I told you guys that my husband bought me a cinch, and I was going to unbox it on video and make a journal with it. And then I was thinking the other day that it would be really fun to make a recipe book with it. I've been collecting recipes. My pen pals send me recipes, and my mom has this really old cookbook that she loves that I steal recipes out of all the time. And, and then I've just got random recipes from other people's families and whatever. And I'd like to put them together in this little book for my own purposes. So I was really thinking about using the cinch and kind of maybe designing a recipe book with it. So I think that's something I really want to try to make up this year, because I think it'd be a fun project for myself, and then put all my little recipes in it. And I thought maybe if I did it with the discs, then I could, add pages as needed, instead of, having it kind of set as, this is all you can do and that you can't add anymore. So I was thinking about that, because I think you can buy a cinch add-on that cuts out the discs from like the Happy Planner type planners, where they're disc bound instead of like coil bound, and I thought that'd be really fun. So I think that's something I'd like to try to do this year, and if it turns out really good, maybe I'll sell them, who knows, but I thought that'd be really fun. So that is the card I have for you guys today. I'm gonna hold them up so you can check out all that cool embossing. Like, look at that clear embossing, how pretty is that? And then that blending that goes into that black outline. But yeah, so that is the card I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.